on this cannot help reflecting what a fateful year this has been for them. You have seen an unfortunate and sordid chapter in your history. It's a chapter of treachery and betrayal, of greed and hypocrisy, of cant and blunder. It is dark days for Ghana. It is exactly 10 months today when certain officers in the Ghana Army and Police turned their guns at the very constitution and legal government which they solemnly swore on their honor to protect and defend. You know that anyone who is capable of such an outrageous betrayal of trust for no reason at all could never have been motivated by the true interests of the people. Events in Ghana since then have confirmed this beyond any doubt. Within 10 short months, the traitors who make up the so-called National Liberation Council have shown that it was their morbid lust for money and power and their desire to escape from the just consequences of their corruption and crime which made them commit such despicable acts of treason against the state and the people of Ghana. When you look around yourselves, their only achievement has been the sordid reversal of Ghana's development and progress. In these 10 months, a lot of lying propaganda and calumny has been manufactured by the so-called National Liberation Council. You have also been told a lot of nonsense by this notorious Liars Council about the state of Ghana's economy. Far from the gloomy picture of doom which the so-called National Liberation Council has been at pains to paint in order to deceive you, there has never been anything like the present state of mass unemployment and hunger which the last 10 months of National Liberation Council misrule and mismanagement have brought upon Ghana. Thousands have been forcibly dismissed or laid off from their jobs. Mass unemployment has mounted so high to a stage unprecedented in our history. Let the unemployed, therefore, mobilize themselves and fight for their rights. Under me, all workers receive their pay regularly, and all state enterprises and organizations function normally and satisfactorily. In fact, 10 short months ago, the standard of living in Ghana was one of the highest in Africa. What is the position today? Ghana's standard of living has fallen drastically. The cost of living has gone unthinkably high. Ghana's foreign reserves have entirely disappeared. The value of Ghana's currency has fallen hopelessly. In one of my broadcasts to you from here, I warned that the opening of Ghana borders, if not planned carefully, would lead to economic troubles. Today, Ghana's cocoa is being smuggled to neighboring countries with disastrous consequences for the people of Ghana. Cocoa, the large center of Ghana's economy, is in jeopardy, all because of the stupidity of the notorious Liars Council and their ill-meaning advisors. Ghana is now in a mess, economically and politically, under the so-called National Liberation Council. Men and women of Ghana, I know your troubles. Stand firm and organize. Continue your resistance wherever you are. I have faith in you. We shall not have fought so far and achieved so much only for us to stand looking unconcerned while a clique of deceivers and self-seekers do all in their power to turn the clock back. We shall not sit idle to see your hard-fought-for achievements being destroyed by these traitorous National Liberation Council have become infamous for their brazen lies. But by telling you that I have resigned my constitutional position as the President of the Republic of Ghana, even they, the notorious Liars Council, have outreached themselves. They have indeed demonstrated to the world the depth to which they have sunk. In my last broadcast, I told you that this was not true. Let me say it again today, that is not true. I have not resigned my position to anybody. It is a characteristic lie which has been deliberately invented by the notorious lie.
Ago, when you come, Madamakasa Kakra, and when you come in Wintiam Kakra, Menkasapi. Damaparamaka there. Bakans of Kakra and Yamakan Fancy. At long last, the battle has ended. And thus, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. And here again, I want to take the opportunity to thank the chiefs and people of this country, the youth, the farmers, the women, who have so nobly fought and won this battle. Also, I want to thank the valiant ex-servicemen who have so cooperated with me in this mighty task of freeing our country from foreign rule and imperialism. And as I pointed out at our party conference at Sorbonne, I made it quite clear that from now on today, we must change our attitudes, our minds. We must realize that from now on, we are no more a colonial, but a free and independent people. But also, as I pointed out, that also entails hard work. I am depending upon the millions of the country, the chiefs and people, to help me to reshape the destiny of this country. We are prepared to build it up and make it a nation that will be respected by every other nation in the world. We know we are going to have difficult beginnings, but again, I am relying upon your support. I'm relying upon your hard work. Seeing you in these thousands, it doesn't matter how far my eye goes. I can see that you are here in your millions. And my last warning to you is that you ought to stand firm behind us so that we can prove to the world that when the African is given a chance, he can show to the world that he's somebody. We shall no more go back to sleep anymore. Today, from now on, there is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs. We are going to demonstrate to the world, to the other nations, young as we are, that we are prepared to lay our own foundation. As I said in the assembly just minutes ago, I made it point that we are going to see that we create our own African personality and identity. It's the only way in which we can show the world that we are ready for our own battle. But today, may I call upon you all that at this great day, let us all remember that nothing in the world can be done unless it has the purported support of God. We have done the battle, and we again rededicate ourselves not only in the struggle to emancipate other territories in Africa. Our independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent. Let us now, fellow Ghanaians, let us now ask for God's blessing. And for only 2 seconds, in your thousands and millions, I want to ask you to pause only for 1 minute and give thanks to Almighty God for having led us through obstacles, difficulties, imprisonments, hardship and suffering to have brought us to the end of our trouble today. 1 minute silence. Ghana is free forever. And here, I will ask the band to play the Ghana national anthem. Freedom! Freedom!
Proud of farming Chroma. Here the king of Africa, Lord God of mercy. This one is a special dedication to ones and ones who hail farming Chroma. Lord God of mercy. It's a
Why did you leave so soon? I miss you so. When we are gonna see you again? For me and crew, my boy. Why did you leave so soon? I miss you so. When we are gonna see you again?
Why me crew, my boy? Why did you leave so soon? I miss you so. When we are gonna see you again? Why me crew, my boy? Why did you leave so soon? I miss you so. When we are gonna see you again?
Alright. The independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it's linked up with the total liberation of the whole African continent. You voiced it as thunderous as thunder and made your mark as the black president. Born some 100 years ago inside in Carrefour, you taught us not to fool or carry water in a basket. You walked in the belly of the beast till your shoe sole dropped off, but you still hit the deadly nail into the slave master's casket. Oh, Sergeant, Kwame Nkrumah, you shouted, self-government now, when the rest of them still slumbered in the carcon of procrastination. Yet, imperialism, nepotism, pluralism, and nyafu didism were never part of you as a man. Black like jerks, Osayifu, Breu.
Why did you leave so soon? I miss you so. When we are gonna see you again? For me and crew, my boy. Why did you leave so soon? I miss you so. When we are gonna see you again?
Yes, you said it with no doubt that we prepare self-government with danger to servitude in tranquility. As a little child, born to Yaniba and Kofi Ngoloma, and attending school in Hafasini, you were full of ability. Materialism you hated like a cankerworm, as honesty soon made you a celebrity. At Kulungugu, the bombs flew around the edge, perpetrated by the enemies of serenity. Oh, jobless, let no one curse. The saying goes with no element of inferiority. Ghana would one day kill you to buy common salt. You said it when your government was toppled by some cacophonous drunk soldier man with no dignity.
To Candid Africa, truthful and unapologetic.
There is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to find his own value and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing the whole world. And my last warning to you is that you all stand behind us so that you can prove to the world that when the African is given a chance, you can show to the world that he's somebody.
Granny Kwame Nkrumah, you're the great man from Africa. Come liberate my brother from mental slavery. Yeah. Oh yeah, Granny Kwame Nkrumah, you're the great man from Africa. Come liberate my brother from mental slavery. Say me can deny your inspiration for the black nation. No need to fight, we should unite for the future generation. Oh yeah, Kwame Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah.
And we again dedicate ourselves
Musical soul first and from the hearts of the rumbless man. A musical leader whose love for black
our
dignity
independence
would
is
always
privileged on letting the make up the
and remain like the footsteps inside. Wake up the spirit of Africa and uphold the name of a great son of the land. Okoroma, you love Africa so much so that you never looted any booty from the motherland. Hail Okoroma, Osajifo, Okoroma. Hail the king, direct descendant of the Nzimara. It is time to pacify the spirits of Okoroma.
Did you like or hate what you heard? Let us know in the
Oh dear. Need we play some more? Need we listen to the voice of Osajifo? You are all welcome to NFM Radio tonight, 6th of March, 2023. That apparently makes it 66 years. 66 years. That after the long struggle, as the Osajifo said in that clip, through hardship, intimidations, through jails, imprisonment, and some even paying with their lives, Ghana, our Osajifo proclaimed, attained, some will say people put pen to paper, to proclaim Ghana as an independent state. That day, Nkrumah said, look, my countrymen, it looks like you don't believe it, but from now, we are who we are. We are not a colony anymore. We are not to be ruled, directed, shaped. Our destinies are not supposed to be designed by some other people whose interest is completely or does not coincide our objectives at all. That their interest does not or will not cater for our well-being. Some people living far away across the ocean have ceased to be our guardian masters, colonial masters, and what have you. So Sajifo told them from Ghana, from that day on, 6th of March 1957. I beg your pardon, I've got a lump in my throat because it's, the whole day I've been thinking, and I've been sitting and thinking, how do we celebrate? Some people, when they die, people come out to say, well, let's celebrate a good life lived by someone. So you celebrate someone's death or someone's life after death. That is okay. But in our case, in Ghana's case, exactly what are we celebrating? If we took time, if we sat down quietly to reflect on what has gone on since the attainment of independence, if we didn't use the pum-pum military bands and the regalia and the state functionaries, long speeches, drinking of good wine and good liquor, and eating good food by those who can afford and by officialdom, to pretend we have something to celebrate. Ladies and gentlemen, countrymen and countrywomen, Ghana for, what exactly are we celebrating today? The fact that Osajifo and the rest of his gang fought very well to wrestle power away from already weakened, war-wrecked, war-weakened British. He didn't have the money. So the little money that they've got from our shores, they'd better looked after that money and to look after their own citizens. So in a way, the time was there, was ripe for the attainment of independence. Notwithstanding, we didn't, or Nkrumah and his people didn't have it cheap. They didn't have it easy, or they didn't have it on a silver platter. Osajifo and his crew, the team Osajifo, had to fight hard. Osajifo did all he could. He did his best. All what was left was for Osajifo's people to emulate, to understand, to appreciate what we had in hand. To appreciate the fact that we had a very beautiful bed in hand. Maybe that bed we should have taken, we should we should have taken good care of that bird. Maybe we should have caged the bird. Osajefo's people, the Gold Coasters, then later Ghanaians, did not appreciate the importance, the enormous sort of value that independence held, the meaning of that independence. If they did, and I mean, I'm not talking about the ordinary people, because the ordinary people listen to figureheads anyway. So my question is simple. What exactly are we celebrating? To me, there isn't much to be, to celebrate. There isn't much to enthuse about, to rejoice for, something that the feel-good factor about independence. What is it? I wouldn't mind in the days of, immediately after the overthrow of Nkrumah up to the Achampon days and a little bit beyond. Independence Day celebration, yeah, independence, okay. But today, where we are at the moment as a country, shouldn't we sit down quietly to reflect on exactly what might have been? What might have been? Like I said, we had a bird, a beautiful bird in our hands. And for some reason, we got loose and the bird flew away. So my question I'm asking everybody is, what exactly are we Ghanaians celebrating? We can expand the argument, the question, the argument, say, what exactly do Africans celebrate when they celebrate independence? Because when you stretch the facts, the situations, today in 2023, we as Africans, West Africans, or Sub-Saharan Africans, we are known. We should have our own engineers, technologists, scientists. What we have, though, plenty lawyers and politicians, and of course, pastors. So we do exchange, pastors. Sometimes, pastor from Nigeria will come to Ghana and pray, and vice versa. Then we do exchange politicians, like we have the ECOWAS session. What we don't have is proper, the tangible quality elements that if we had enough would have helped us or propel us into the destination that we're still seeking. If we had scientists, engineers, after so many decades, Ghana is 66, others are 60, 62, others are 50. How come we need expertise, we still have to go to America and Europe? Nigeria has been drilling oil, producing oil for ages. So, under normal circumstances, if Ghana wants to drill oil as well or found oil, it could have been sensible that the top management, engineers, and the rest should come from Nigeria, shouldn't they? The best, people with the know-how about oil drilling and oil production and the rest. But no. after 66 years, and Nigeria, I think 62, whatever, we still have to depend on the colonial masters for everything, including expertise, scientists, everything. The world is structured very simple. The world, it's structured very simple. You got to have something that someone needs for each side to survive. So you should have either services or products. Most of Europeans don't have products, natural mineral resources, no. Even if they had very little indeed. But they have something they've developed because services. In Ghana today, we don't need too many lawyers, do we? In Ghana today, we don't need too many lawyers. We need more architects, more engineers, more scientists, mathematicians, people who actually do work, people who can transform something, either solid, liquid, or gas, into something else. Luckily, we have the raw materials, the minerals, the wealth, the natural wealth. We have it. So if our services sector is not well developed, at least we have products. So the sense in everything, in all this, is that our product, someone needs them. So they have to purchase from us. Osajifo was planning to build a Ghana, a West Africa, where, having been used and abandoned, or our ancestors having been traded as commodities, having been sent far away to work for free, thus making lots of monies for the Europeans. Osajifo thought, okay, it's now time for us to accelerate our, quest to, for development. I don't have to go into all this all over again, but my question still remains, and it's a simple question. What exactly are we celebrating? If anyone knows what we are celebrating, you can call me on my show and tell me. I would love to know, I would love to hear why we are celebrating 66 years of the attainment of independence. Because from where I'm sitting, Mansa Musa, I don't see any joy. I don't see any, what do I say? Okay, thank you. I don't see any reason for partying. You see what I mean? I don't see it at all.
No admiral is not afraid. No justice.
Right. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. I got the wrong end of that thing. Okay, now let's see what it is.
Here, the king of Africa, Lord God of mercy. This one is a special dedication to ones and ones who hail for people. Lord God of mercy. So
When we are the
independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it's linked up with the total liberation of the whole African continent. You voiced it as Candaros as Thunder and made your mark as the black president.
Women,
born some 100 years ago inside in Cromful, you taught us not to fool or carry water in a basket. You walk in the belly of the beast till your shoe sole drop off, but you still hit the deadly nail into the slave master's casket. Forming Chroma, you shouted, still government now, when the rest of them still slumbered in the crackle of procrastination. Yes. Imperialism, nepotism, pluralism, and Yafu-Yafu-Didism were never part of you as a man. Black like jerks, Osayif, Brave.
we must realize that from now on we are no longer colonial, but a free and independent people.
When we ever see you again, mommy and Kuma boy, why did you live so soon?
But also,
I am
as I found out, that also entails hard work.
Yes,
I am
you said it with no doubt
upon
that
the millions of
we
the
prefer self-government with danger to servitude in tranquility. As a little child, born to Yaniba and Kofi Uloma, and attending school in Abasi, you were full of ability. Materialism you hated like a cankerworm, as honesty who made you a celebrity. At Kulungubu, the bombs flew around the edge, perpetrated by the enemies of serenity. Ujabes, let no one curse. The saying goes with no element of inferiority. Ghana would one day kill you to buy common sense. You said it when your government was toppled by some cacophonous drunk soldier man with no dignity.
Behind us, so that we can show the world.
why did you
They can show the world that he's somebody.
miss you so? When we ever see you again, mommy and Kuma boy, why did you live so soon?
Today from now on, there is a new African in the world.
When we ever see you again,
Oh yeah, Granny Kwame Nkrumah, you're the great man from Africa. Come liberate my brother from mental slavery. Yeah. Oh yeah, Granny Kwame Nkrumah, you're the great man from Africa. Come liberate my brother from mental slavery. Say me can deny your inspiration for the black nation. No need to fight, we should unite for the future generation. Oh yeah, Kwame Nkrumah, oh Kwame Nkrumah, oh Kwame Nkrumah, Kwame Nkrumah,
And we again,
oh yeah.
dedicate ourselves
Do re mi fa sol la ti do. Musical soul first echo from the hearts of the Ramblers band. A musical leader whose love for black dignity would always be true and remain like the footsteps in the sand. Wake up the spirit of Africa and uphold the name of a great son of the land. Nkrumah, you love Africa so much so that you never looted any booty from the motherland. Hail Nkrumah, Osajifo, Nkrumah. Hail the king, direct descendant of the Nzimaland. It is time to pacify the spirits of Nkrumah.
When we ever see you again,
Right, so that is the national anthem then, and it is the same national anthem today. My question I'm asking, very soon I'll go to the part of London where a gentleman, a senior citizen, affectionately call him an old boy. He was a wee boy when all happened. He was a young, very young man when everything, the independence and everything, right? And so I've decided that tonight, okay, thank you. I will speak to him, ask him if it's all right for us Ghanaians to pretend that there is anything to celebrate. If there is anything to celebrate.
Of Ghana is meaningless unless it's linked up with the total liberation of the whole African continent. You voiced it as thunderous as thunder and made your mark as the black president. Born some 100 years ago inside in Crawford, you taught us not to fool or carry water in a basket. You walk in the
if them a come, make them come.
Kakra. And so when you come in the wind, Kakra, men kasapi. Dame para makan de. Makan is for Kakra and we makan for fancy. At long last, the battle has ended. And thus, Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever.
Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. For me, that particular date I wasn't born. But not long thereafter I was born. My parents, my brothers, and my senior cousins, the uncles and the rest of them, they couldn't. They said, look, we cannot explain the joy. The euphoria is the word. The anticipation that something good is going to happen. Or something good has happened and is going to continue. They said they couldn't explain how it was, but it felt the joy. Immediately, people stopped thinking Ga, Ashanti, Fanti, the Bani, the Gati, Akwapi, all those kind of things. All of a sudden, Ghana. For me, tonight, I tried to get a CPP chairwoman. They are going about, they are celebrating. They are celebrating. My question, seriously, what exactly are we celebrating? Because if it is a freedom, yes, we've attained that freedom. But freedom to do what? To mismanage our economy, to create problems, to ethnic strife, to nepotism more, everything that is negative. We have the freedom and we are doing it that way. Freedom to now siphon our monies, wealth, and send it to the same people who we struggled and fought against. Now we have the freedom to destroy our bases so much so that our youth cannot leave Ghana quickly enough. And we are celebrating. Anyway, with me to talk and discuss about tonight's program, perhaps he has much more input, insight as to what we should make of today. 66 years after independence. If there's anything to celebrate, to joy about, I don't know. Mr. Adesoya, good evening.
Oh, good evening. How are
I hope you are well.
Yes, I am well. It's a bit cold out here, but I mean, we opted to come to this country, so we got to deal with the cold.
But
Let's
then,
hope that
I'm
it gets
surprised you
warmer.
are saying you should be in the comfort of your room somewhere nice and warm, isn't it?
Well, this country, the antidote is that you sit in and you have a blanket wrapping your feet.
Okay.
You don't be cold. But
Otherwise,
that's all part of the struggle.
otherwise I don't know why you should venture out. And but is it convenient for us to carry on?
Yeah, it is. I'm ready.
All right then.
I'm ready to talk about it.
Mr. Adesoya, like I said, I introduced him, is a senior boy, so to speak, senior citizen. He was a wee little gentleman when all those things happened. So it is not history written, but history standing and live. So, Mr. Adesoya, just tell us briefly how this thing came about, your own experience. Then we take it from there and, transport everything into today's focus. Take it away, sir.
Well, okay. I mean, I think the whole purpose of independence can be captured in a particular way, and that way is that you're a people who have resources. Earlier on, several years before, your chiefs had signed away your resources to another imperial power who had come into your country and was just taking the resources out and not developing the country. So you start feeling, as it happened in Ghana, that in 1857, there was this thing about the British actually saying that they wanted to take the land too. So the land will be invested in the British Crown. And there was agitation by people like Mansa who felt that was rather unfair because the land, those who came into our country did not come with the land. The land definitely belonged to us. So there was the Aborigines' rights protection movement that resisted that. And eventually, the British did not take the land. Coincidentally, the British who went to South Africa took all the land from the people. The British who went to Rhodesia took all the land from the people. The others who went to Namibia, that's the
Rhodesia, you mean modern day
Yeah.
Zimbabwe, right?
Yeah, modern day Zimbabwe.
Okay.
They took all the land from them. And so this was actually resisted by the people in Ghana. And it actually started the agitation against the British. The Aborigines Rights Protection Society was able to stop the British from acquiring our land too, because they had control, though they had control over the other resources. Okay. The next phase was in the 20s when there was an organization called the National Council of British West Africa. It was in Ghana, it was in Gambia, it was in Sierra Leone, and it was in Nigeria. And they started actually agitating that the imperialists, that's the representatives of the crown, sat in an assembly with our chiefs. But since most of our chiefs were illiterate, all they went on is that when the white men spoke, then they say, I concur, I concur, I concur. That was all that they did. And if you realize that there were certain chiefs who were given titles at night. So if you realize most of our chiefs at that time were knighted. yeah, and Togbesri, Oforiata, Ajiman Prempe, etc., etc., to bring them up to the status of giving him them, and then Nana was not enough for them. They wanted Nana say, so that they were probably more aligned to the British throne.
Sure.
Okay. Now, the educated Africans who had come over to Oxford, Cambridge, and most of their universities, and actually studied with these white people who were competent enough, felt that that was rather unfair. Because when you go to the Parliament of England, there are people of diverse people making the law of the land. And yet when you come to Africa, it's a few civil servants sitting down with our chiefs. So the whole point of the National Council of British West Africa was actually to agitate so that the educated Africans, educated elite, would also go into Parliament. So that is why there were people like Akukosa, people like Mr. George Christian, who incidentally came from the Caribbean. So people like F.W.
Du Bois?
Bruce.
Oh, sorry.
People like Kojo Thompson. They, at least in the South, there was a whole lot of people who also went into the Legislative Assembly so that they were able to influence the laws. Okay. Now, that happened on provisional councils. Okay. So in 1947, there was this agitation again by Pa Grant, who said that, look, we're having the representation, but the representation was in patches. Why don't we come up with a national organization? J.B. Dankwa, as usual, was secretary to his brother, Furiata. So he also then got involved in that movement. And they assembled quite a crop of elite in Ghana, or in Gold Coast as it was, for them to actually start this agitation. Now, this happened in August 1947. In December or November 1947, they wanted to have a full-time person who would act as secretary, since they were all very busy doing their own stuff as lawyers and doctors, etc., etc. So they wanted to appoint one of them. And the discussion centered around a dynamic young man who had lived in America and had come to England, who was very good at organizing amongst people, amongst the black people in America, and who had actually found common cause with a lot of Caribbean people in England. They threw the invitation to him, and he arrived in Ghana at the end of 1947, maybe 4 or 5 months after the UGCC had been set up. So it was Nkrumah who actually helped, and he didn't do it alone, but who helped to re-establish this concept of the UGCC as a national organization. Unfortunately for him, and I say unfortunately, the work did not go on smoothly, because soon after he returned, there was still some agitation in the country. One of the most important agitation was the boycott that had been declared by Kwabena Boni. That coincided, Kwabena Boni, who was saying that the price of European goods were too high for us to afford it. So he encouraged people around the country to boycott the sale or to boycott the shops run by the Association of West African Merchants. Okay. What then happened was that also coincided with the ex-servicemen
Yes.
who had come back from the war,
Mm.
whose pensions were considerably being delayed, as is happening. Well, I would make the analogy later on, whose pensions were being delayed. And so they decided that they were going to go on a peaceful march to the seat of government, the castle. And I think the head of police, the chief of police, panicked and caused for shooting with live ammunition, which meant that 3 of them died. Sergeant Ajete, Corporal Tipu, and Private Odate died. So the news spread that people had been shot. So the young men whose boycott decided that they were now actually not just boycotting the shops, but they were going to go to the shops to actually get the goods for free.
Rampage.
And so there was a rampage, there was a big rout, there was a looting. The looting went on for a long time. There was negotiation for the looting. Now, though the 2 events were not linked, the British managed to link the events. And the fateful linking of that event was that the person who had written the speech that the ex-servicemen were going to deliver was Akwaji, who was one of the UGCC members.
Yeah.
So they decided to ransack the UGCC and arrest all the top guns of the UGCC. And they were successful in doing that, except that they were faced with a quandary. They arrested 8 people. The problem was that the helicopter that they had could only carry 6 people. So 2 of the people who were arrested were not transported to prison. They were left. Those 2 people, R.S. Blay, popular Nzima lawyer of high repute, who actually became the Speaker of the Assembly in, I think, 1969.
Can I have that name again? You mean
R.S. Blay?
So the 7th person was R.S.
Blay.
Blay, and the 8th person, you remember?
Was called James Tessin Kofi. James Quist Tessin.
Okay, James
Quist Tessin.
Quist
Tessin,
yeah.
So those 2 were not taken along. So it meant that
before we continue,
really,
I have
that's
to
how you,
before
that's how
we
you got your,
before we continue, I have to applaud you big time, because I think last year when we spoke, you promised to get me the other 2. I was ready to be disappointed that if you didn't have it, but today you've proved your mettle. So well done, big time, because you see, if we don't get the names, this is the reason why the deceit has been successful. The big six. The other time I went into argument with somebody, they said, okay, so tell us who were the other 2. And I was, I was locked. I couldn't continue. You see, so
R.S. Blay
and James Quist Tessin. Thank you. All right. So now, please go ahead.
So they were the people who were left behind. So really, the issue about the big six was that after they were arrested, it meant that immediately the country was ready for some sort of constitution to actually change the form of the legislative assembly so that we would actually have true independence. Okay, so although we're meeting with a white man, it really wasn't properly done. Okay, Then there were quite a bit of trouble
Mm-hmm.
within the UGCC itself. As every political party, there's always jockeying for position and everything. And it was at that time that there was a suspicion that Kwame Nkrumah had come with a different agenda. And that agenda was more about the type of government, not about the agitation for independence. During those days, when somebody is said to be a communist, there were a lot of connotations about what that meant. It was evil, it was treasonable, it was. So the others, who were all very well respected people, did not feel very comfortable being in the presence of a communist, okay?
So to speak.
So they started agitation against Kwame Nkrumah and his methods.
But before we continue, was it clear cut? Because for what we know, Nkrumah never declared himself a communist, did he?
Okay, no, he wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't that he was communist. I think it was during the terminology of the day. But if one remembers, Nkrumah had associated with several people during his travels in America and during his sojourn in England. So because of the links, he had extensive links.
Yes.
He had actually prepared himself for coming to Ghana. Don't forget that in America, he was with people, W.E.B. Du Bois and others. He was with people like Padmore.
These were people who were fighting for emancipation, so to speak, of the black man. And that didn't make them communists, or did it?
Yes. So he was in contact with all of them. So actually, because of that contact, there was another guy, ITA Wallace Johnson, who was in Ghana before Nkrumah left, and who had actually been expelled from Ghana, together with Azikwe, about their writing. There was a famous sedition case when they wrote about a title, a piece titled "Has the African a God?" I don't know whether you've read it. I'll find it and I'll send it.
Please,
I'll send it to you. And it was found to be seditious. So they were sacked. But ITA Wallace Johnson was known to be a communist because he had also traveled to the Soviet Union and everything before coming to Ghana. But anyway, he was one of the people who recommended that Nkrumah go up to Lincoln to go and study. Okay? And so with this suspicion that came, there was a lot of turmoil. And so there was an issue that Nkrumah should be demoted from his position of General Secretary because he was incurring too much trouble with the British. So he was demoted to the position of Treasurer. But when he went to the meeting out there he went with the body of the Committee of Youth Organizations that had been set up initially by Dankwa and others in the 30s. Okay. He went with these people who were outside providing with solidarity. And when he went in to have this discussion, when he came out, the youth were waiting for him. And they asked him to resign from the UGCC forthwith. Nkrumah's excuse was that he didn't have any pen and he didn't have any paper, so he could not write that letter of resignation. I'm told that one of them procured some paper and somebody else procured a pen. And somebody then gave him his back. And they put the paper and pen on the back, and he wrote his letter of resignation forthwith and went back and handed it to them. From that time, I think the battle lines
were drawn.
Between the CPP, which was then not a party, but they then went on to Sopon and formed the Conventions People's Party. Indeed, in so doing, they actually wanted to hit people at the turf, because the UGCC was known by many people as the convention.
Yes.
So Nkrumah added convention to the party. So we had Convention People's Party. Instead of just People's Party, which everybody expected, he added convention to it. So there was a lot of dissonance and confusion in the minds of people, whether UGCC was UGCC or whether it was the new one that has come, CPP, with the vibrant young people. Okay. So then Nkrumah and others started campaigning, and they were campaigning for independence in the shortest possible time. But they were campaigning for independence now.
I see. That is where I quickly have to put in this 20 seconds advert. It is very quick.
Okay.
It's not long at all. Very short one, then we will continue.
Okay.
For Sadia, Yenam Top Connect so Emanisika de Bagana if we yasia fanenina yenchia capre. Ane, aye free. Top Connect a Masika money I am recra. You hear so download it with Top Connect app no our Play Store. Diama Android phone. And as we use iPhone so or Apple Store now download the Top Connect. Aye simple cra. Top Connect to a member radio numsu Europe, North America and Asia. Woman will dofu sika for Top Connect so aye na emre na mawa hoto swonso sese die sika manye di foforo kra any Top Connect so we yan chechemu bia for Top Connect our +442 081 6155 and a +442 081 761 600 +447 882 950 088 and nasa hwehwe Top Connect our befontin tefidie nyina so Top Connect Fasika mani wa dofwa sunjemu a unchia kapre Top Connect yensu ye dienye.
Right, so Top Connect, the top and connect it. If you want to send money, anything to do with remittances, they are the one-stop shop for you. Top Connect. The voice you are hearing, my guest tonight is Mr. Adesoya. In fact, if you want the true, unwritten, undiluted Nkrumah story, CPP story, the story of the independence, the starting to the finish, I tell you how, as they say in Akama, there, because the way he's narrating, it is worth sitting in a lecture hall listening to this. This is how good it is. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This is being recorded on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you miss something, you can go rerun it and listen. This is proper history undiluted. Mr. Adesoya.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, before I come back to you, this other senior citizen, Openyu Kweku, wants to join. He called a different line, which is not very nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add him to this line as a conference call. So please stay there for me. Let me do the calling. Then I will come back to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Right. So let me go and look for Opinion Kweku and add him to this conversation as quickly as I can. Let's see. Okay, what is this? Okay. Obayikweku.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening. I'm going to add you, merge this one so the two of you can hear each other. So stay there for me.
Me, please.
Right.
Hello?
So Obayikweku has joined the conversation.
No, I have not joined the conversation. Listen to me. I want to speak to you offline.
Oh,
Please.
oh, so you don't want to join then we have to wait because I'm on air now with Adesoya.
I just want to just give you one, this thing, what do you call it?
Is this you can say it on air if it's a correction or anything. It's not a big deal.
Because I am doing something for my woman. It's not well, and
Oh.
I'm helping her.
Okay.
But I'm listening to your
Yes.
listens.
Yes.
Let me tell what I want to tell you is
Mm-hmm.
Osadipo didn't resign from UGCC.
Mm.
He was the UGCC at the same time he was organizing CPP. Because UGCC...
Are you saying Osajifu never resigned, wrote resignation letter?
Only the last moment when CPP was, well organized, then he said he will get away from it. But he didn't outright say, I am resigning, or nobody they wanted him because they saw that I have a book here called Basil Davison, Black Star.
Okay.
All the history is there. So,
okay.
In fact,
all right. So that particular side of the discussion you think is wrong?
Well, he's saying something, but not up to that extent. Osajifu never resigned from UGCC. He resigned only when he had organized.
Yeah, but if you say never resign and now say he resigned, which is which?
The way he's saying,
Mm-hmm.
the UGCC, after all, Dankwa wasn't part of UGCC. Dankwa came behind, back door to join UGCC. Then he became a member. But he wasn't the...
Unfortunately, you say you don't have time. So, well,
yes,
thanks for the information.
I didn't know that you were going to do this program, else I will have time.
Open I've sent leaflets and everything everywhere. I know Ghanaians don't like to read unless you tell them all the time. Ghanaians don't like reading unless you tell them. No. I know.
Please.
Since yesterday, today I've sent 2. I've sent 4, including WhatsApp. What do we call it? Including Facebook and YouTube. I've sent 4. So if you say you didn't know, it's not my fault. Anyway, it's okay. It's not. I'm just joking with you. Let's carry on. Anyway, thanks for the information.
Next time, I will have time.
Yeah, hopefully next year. I do this every year to talk about Nkrumah.
You can write it down. Basil Davison, Black Star.
Okay. Mr. Adesoya.
Yeah.
Is there any thing you want to reference in this particular Openyikweku's rebuttal or correction?
No. I'll hold that thought. I would finish my story,
okay,
and then I'll deal with what Openyikweku is talking about.
Okay. So we were then on the point of he now forming the CPP, adding the C to the PP to make it nice and beautiful. Let's carry on from there.
So we then had Convention People's Party, which then formed and started agitating amongst young men and amongst people from ordinary working lives. So whilst the UGCC had focused on the educated African and the prosperous African, Nkrumah with the CPP focused on the youth and the masses, people from different walks of life, started talking to them about the fact that we now needed to have self-government. They wrote a lot of tracts. Obviously, the competition now was that Nkrumah did not actually toe the line that the educated Africans had wanted him to toe. He had his own brand of politics.
Can you elaborate a bit? What do you think they demand?
I'll come back with the elaboration.
I'm jumping the gun a bit. Please go ahead.
Okay, whilst the UGCC dealt with the chiefs and the Omanhinis and so on and so forth, Nkrumah, when he gives to every village, dealt with the Odikro, that's the sub-chiefs. So instead of him having a campaign that was supposed to be well recognized, he had a campaign that was rather very low-key, dealing with people who, under normal circumstances, were not engaged in politics. He even had women who were leading his movement. There were several of them, like Hannah Kujo and others, who were just passionate about the message of emancipation that he brought. Okay. So this was how things were. And after that constitution, I think it was the Benz constitution, there was a decision that, well, if independence needed to be speeded up, then we had to find a way of now having African people in parliament. Okay. Now, this obviously created a problem for the CPP because they were not quite sure at that stage that they could actually match the UGCC, who were experienced people at election. And there was also the question of who should stand for the CPP. Okay. In 1950, Nkrumah called for positive action. Again, this was one of his moves against the agitation, against the colonial rule. That, look, we want to be independent. If you don't, then we'll down our tools. We'll go into some form of protest movement, non-violent protest movement, and we're going to actually call for this positive action, which was rather fairly successful. So it brought, again, the colonial people to the table. Now the agitation was coming from different fronts against the colonial government. It wasn't just the UGCC that said it had a national movement. There were people from the North, the Northern People's Party, that was also involved in this movement. There were people from Angola Youth Association. There were Togoland Congress. There were different groups that had now come up that were all agitating. But the CPP slogan call was self-government now, instead of self-government within the shortest possible time. At the time elections were called for February 1951, Nkrumah had been caught and put in jail because he had written an article and had agitated that he was being actually charged for sedition, that he was writing things against the government. So he was in jail. So everybody thought that, well, the man we don't want is now in jail. So we can now actually inherit the mantle after the white men had left. So there was a critical thing from Nkrumah where does he stand an election if he's in jail? The most important constituency at that time, because it's right in the center of Accra, was Accra Central. And there were many people who were vying for that seat. Akwaje was vying for that seat. Obekebi Lamte was vying for that seat. All for the UGCC. But there were some Ghana people like Isikwe and others who were also very much interested in the seat for the CPP. And this was Bidema's master stroke. Because Bidema said, look, the symbol of our party is Kwame Nkrumah. So we need to let Kwame Nkrumah stand in this seat, even though he's not Ghana. Let him stand in this seat. And we'll use that as a test of his opinion. Standing in that seat was another guy called Tommy Cotton Mills. He also stood in that seat. And they were going to select 2 candidates. And although Nkrumah was in jail, he won that seat. Together with Tommy Cotton Mills. The most important Ghana politician at that time, who was Obekebi Lamte, who had done a lot of hard work opposing the colonial rule, did not win that seat. Nkrumah was the person who won that seat. So there was a crisis as to what to do. Should a person who is a prisoner be brought in to come and run the country? Albeit he was a political prisoner. So immediately the government said, okay, let's release him and bring him to run the country. And so he was in Games Fort, and I'm told, this is the story of it, that originally when he was released, he was supposed to be just coming out with no fanfare. But people heard of it and said, no, let's delay this release and let's make this another political move. So they kept him in jail for a few hours, and then they brought all the newsmen and all the guys around for Nkrumah to now turn his release from prison into a rally. They took him on the streets of Accra.
A rally and a victory march.
And a victory march at that time. He had won, he'd been released from jail, and it was actually covered by foreigners. Because if they had come, if they had just taken him out of the prison and smuggled him out, it would not have been the momentous act that it was. By his being carried shoulder high, they later on found somebody's car. They actually even did not know where to take him.
You see?
After they had carried him out. But I'm told they took him to the house of a guy called Jerome Quay, who actually welcomed him, and they went to Manchagona, which was the only big place they held their massive rally of Nkrumah coming back. Okay. Now, the important thing in that election was that most of the seats were won by the CPP in all areas, especially in Ashanti. CPP swept the polls 1951 in Ashanti. And so CPP were asked to form a government. And I think I sent you something, lest we forget, about Nkrumah's first cabinet. There were 3 white men involved in it. I'll send it again. I sent a track called Lest We Forget that had been written by a friend of mine whose father was also Ham, WMQ Ham. He became the first head of the Bank of Ghana when it was set up. Okay. Anyway, so now Nkrumah was in cabinet. So now they needed the accelerated progress to actually, for the CPP to inherit the mantle. Because UDCC lost all their seats, including the seat in Achema Buakwa, that J.D. Dankwa could not take. It meant that the opposition in parliament was rather weak. So Nkrumah had probably more of a carte blanche to actually do a lot of things. He started reforming things at that stage. And I think that this is what people forget, that here was a man who had a vision. And again, what people did not recognize was that in 1947, by the time Nkrumah was ready to come to Ghana, he had already written a tract towards colonial freedom. So Nkrumah came to Ghana with a vision. It wasn't that just he wanted to inherit from the white men, but he had a vision as to what to do about our education system, what to do about our jobs, what to do about industrializing the country, and he put all those things straight into operation from the early 50s, hoping that they will yield fruit in the 60s and the 70s. So it's not quite true when people talk about Nkrumah as somebody who had just come onto the scene. He came onto the scene rather prepared. Now, I'll just go straight to the problems of 1954 elections, where after 54 elections, NLM then came into action, and Ashanti, there were a lot of turmoil, violence, and everything. But the motion of destiny was tabled. And even then, they were still putting obstacles in Nkrumah's way. So he
let's go back a bit. I want to ask you this question, and that is, for, how do I put it? In my own life, when I was a kid, something, there was a time I started, growing up, and I became bold. Now, my dad was okay to ask that I'm going to opera of all places. So you have to be a bad boy to go there. So my dad saw nothing wrong with it, but to ask my mom, it was so when I grew bolder. My question is, the dangerous aspect of Nkrumah asking for power from the British, when part of his own indigenous people did not side him on that or did not support him. It would take a brave person to even start thinking like that, wouldn't it?
Well, okay. I think, the issue about Westminster type politics is that the job of the opposition is to oppose. So even in this country, it's on very rare occasions that Labour agrees with Conservative because their job is to oppose. So I think because we were practicing Westminster type of democracy, everything that Nkrumah came up with, the opposition felt that they needed to oppose. Okay. So technically, they felt that they were doing their job in opposition.
Yes.
Because that is what opposition...
Yeah, but see, my point is, that is not where the danger is. I mean, that time, Jimmy time, to wrestle power from white people, you are looking for your death, isn't it?
Well, the reason why they were opposing was that, number one, they wished that they had been the people who had won the election. And these are the things that added to what I call the troubles that came up. Because there were policies that Nkrumah brought on board, which people in Ashanti did not agree with. And Bafo Akoto caused the Ashanti Youth Association to actually oppose most of the stuff that Nkrumah was doing around cocoa, because what Nkrumah felt was that the white men were buying the cocoa from our farmers and then transporting the cocoa from out. And Nkrumah felt that at that time it was important to form some cooperatives.
Sure.
So you had the United Ghana Farmers Cooperative that was formed. There were issues about the formation of cocoa marketing board so that the marketing will be done collectively by government. And the feeling then was that if the government took over the marketing, it meant that they would give an unfavorable price of cocoa to the farmers. So that is how the National Liberation Movement agitation started. But as part of that agitation, they also felt that if there was a federal government, what would then happen was that laws could be passed nationally, but Ashanti could have its own lawmaking, which means that Ashanti resources and how it dealt with its raising money will be kept within Ashanti.
Sure.
It was explained to most people that they did not want Ashanti money to be used to develop other areas of Ghana, especially the northern part of Ghana, which they rightly felt at that time should be part of the Ashanti region, because that's where all the people who worked on the farms,
the labor, cheap labor,
came from. Okay, so there was all that. I mean, I think that within that kind of administration, there was something that was genuine. It was local, so it was more local politics than national politics. Okay, and the more difficulty that was also added at that time was that there was the issue of Togoland.
Yes.
Organizations like Togoland's Congress felt that they were better aligned to French Togoland. Now, the reason that we had transport at Togoland in the first place was that the Germans were in that part of Togoland. But after the First World War, when the Germans were defeated, that Togoland was ceded to British Togoland. And there were people in this British Togoland who were also agitating that if they joined with French Togoland, there would be a bigger country, legitimate, so that they would also have their independence.
Yes.
So Nkrumah had to try and persuade them that their fortunes lay with Ghana rather than with French Togoland. And I think that the battle lines were drawn. The British insisted on a plebiscite that was held in 1956. And again, Nkrumah won over. And that is now happened that we now have the colony, now Ashanti, we then have transport at Togoland, and we then have...
That was a brave, a good move. That was a good move, because otherwise it means that part of Volta with all its natural resources would have gone.
Yeah. What else?
Jesus Christ.
So now, when some of us argue that it was Nkrumah who formed Ghana, we argue because he was the person who put the 4 different parts of Ghana together in order for us to have independence. So in 1957, we went in and we had independence. Okay. So that is where my story about independence ends. Okay. Now, what I would like to say briefly after that is that Ghana was a country that was full of promise. It was full of promise because Nkrumah actually had this vision of development. And the vision of development was about industrialization. But more importantly, it was about a vision of Africa. That if Africa came together as African unity, and that as we have now, which is the AU, which is now trying to find its way after several years battling as Organization of African Unity. By now, the feeling was that there would have been probably a lot more development in Ghana and in Africa than we have at the present moment. Now, it is that vision that is missing from all these years that we have battled to try and create a developed Ghana. Okay. Nkrumah came with a plan. So, like I'm saying, it wasn't just the little development plans that he had, but in 1964, he laid open the 7-year development plan that was to transform Ghana into a middle-income country in 1971. Unfortunately, just 2 years after they launched the plan, the coup came. Okay. I think Nkrumah had really very, what would I say, more positive, more proactive way of looking at our development in Africa. Unfortunately, yes, there were people who thought that what he was doing was not the right thing to do. So all the accusations of dictatorship, all the accusations of his being a communist, all the stuff that were visited on him, to a large extent, have been really unfair. And I think that history, with floundering governments, is now judging Nkrumah much kinder.
Yeah, posterity
So
is
what they tried.
posterity is judging him almost, different from what people ascribed to him. But let me ask you a bit about this, his vision about Africa. Given that at that time there was no sort of criteria or an example or track record to follow. The European Union wasn't that solidly set up. So we can forgive our peoples, and if I say our peoples, I mean not only Ghanaians but Africans, for thinking that Nkrumah was asking too much or for too much. But now that we have the example of what do we call it, world regional group or regional bodies forming very strongly, why do you think still Africans are almost being left behind, apart from the ceremonial meeting at Ethiopia and the rest? Why is it that we can't get this unity thing? We can't get it done. What do you think?
Well, I think, what Nkrumah had used in Ghana to win independence was self-government now, instead of self-government within the shortest possible time.
Sure.
Okay. Now, the main problems came more to do with the process, whether the process was going to be a rapid process of forming the African unity, or whether it was going to be a gradual process. Okay. Nkrumah opted for a rapid process. That rapid process did not sit very well with some of the conservative African countries who were just then becoming independent. Okay. So there was a split. And within that split, Nkrumah was able to carry some of the countries that had already gained independence, like Egypt, Algeria, Ghana, I think Mali,
Guinea,
and other countries, Guinea in that. Okay. And the Morovia group were a more conservative group, I think Nyerere and others we meet, Topman, Nigeria. And so the African Organization of African Union was actually a fudge, because it was Ethiopia, Haile Selassie, who brought the two groups together to at least agree that we will have a union, whether gradual or rapid, was neither here nor there.
Immaterial, put it that way, yeah.
Yeah. The point is that those people who advocated for a gradual process, and this is with hindsight, I'm talking with hindsight.
Sure.
That those people who had agreed with a gradual process were probably right. And I'll tell you why. Because if you look at the spate of coup d'etats that took place in Africa from 1966, Nigeria, there was a time when almost all states around Africa were run by military governments. And it was unlikely that military governments would go into a union. And indeed, if the AU had been formed, there would have been confusion, because there would be people who would then be pulling out of the union rather than. So when I say that they have improved right, it is not because they were correct.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean,
yeah. With the hindsight,
events has proven that, they were right, not because they were correct. I totally understand you. You see, the whole point is, unfortunately, like you said, most of the people who were, had the same vision or ideas, principles or ideology like Nkrumah, you see, naturally, they were going to get their support from the then Soviet Union, because if the ex-colonizers, obviously they are not going to bring you massive technology, or they are not going to help you win independence. The independence should be won with support of somebody. So unfortunately for our destiny, it so happened that, okay, our detractors, i.e. the West, had a weapon to use. They had a target. And like you said, those days, the stigma attached to being a communist, it was as dangerous as saying that this person is a Sakawa Juju person.
now, the thing about African Union, African unity was that Nkrumah therefore tried a different track.
Sure.
And that track was forming a union with Guinea and then with Mali.
Sure.
And he was then going to form a union with the United Arab Republic.
Okay.
The UAR was made up, I think, of Egypt and some other countries, because he was then looking, they were then at that time, Ben Bella and others, Egypt, Algeria, they were looking at also forming different bands or different groupings that would eventually unite. Okay, so we had Ghana, Guinea, Mali, and then Nkrumah felt that as that union strengthened, other countries will come on board. So that was also a different process of forming the African unity. Again, when the coups started, it meant that that could not be sustained. Okay. Now, Africa is a lot more stable now in terms of it has been democratized. The military are disappearing gradually. Although
of course, unless you take out Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea.
Well, those are recent skirmishes, but I think
okay, I get what you mean. Yeah.
I think those skirmishes can be resolved. Okay. I think globalization has actually made African Union even more urgent and important. So I think there will be more attention, and with that, we'll then be really realizing the dream that Nkrumah had in terms of a disjointed Africa that could be a strong force.
Why is it? Let me ask you, I want to task your brain a bit. What do you think? We are supposed to be subservient. As if our lands, our group, our Africans, as if we are not allowed to join in this competition. The thing is, we should have like they say, you should have a service or a product. We have the products. And so we should be able to stand on our feet to determine how much, how far, how we should go, where we should go, and what we should get for our peoples. Why do you think it looks as if we are the last group of, especially sub-Saharan Africa, last group of race that, still has to be a bit more subservient or obedient to the now even more dangerous neoliberal West?
Well, if there's a vision, and this is why I keep on, and I've sort of spelled that out several times. The vision says that what do we want for our people? What we all want for our people are jobs.
Yes.
Everywhere you go in the world, if there's unemployment in this country, it's a drain on everything.
Sure.
They give people welfare, it's a drain. The people don't produce, so they are not able to earn a lot more money. Okay. What had happened with us in Africa is that that's been the thing that we needed to concentrate on. Jobs, any jobs that we can get. Obviously, we are agricultural countries, and most people in development have developed from being agricultural countries. Okay. But the thing is that agriculture means that you are in a commodity state where everybody produces that commodity. What is important is to transform that commodity into a product, to transform that product into a brand. We've not been able to do that successfully.
For me, I totally understand you, sir. I understand you, but on the other hand, sir, apart from producing, let's say, making brands and bringing something into fruition, that is okay, different. What about the raw, the real wealth? Apparently, we have now discovered cobalt. We've now had lithium, and has apparently been given to some Australian company on the cheap. Then we have oil. What we are getting now is minuscule. What I mean is those products, why is it that we are almost, it's like we don't have a say. We only have to take what we are given. This is my argument, and that isn't right, is it?
Well, if you say we only have to take what we are given, I don't think that any country can come into any company can come to your country and demand things. I think it is what you want to do.
Exactly.
So if you have a vision of what you want to do,
sure,
that vision means that you shouldn't be worried. Okay. Let me give you an example. It's probably not the top example or anything, but I had one of the place that everybody now goes to, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, etc., etc. Okay. It's a country with 140 nationalities living there. The people are only 12% of all the people who live in Abu Dhabi, who live in the Dubai, United Arab Emirates. They welcome foreigners coming in, but the foreigners come and work there, and the wealth remains there.
Sure.
With the foreigners. When the government is signing contracts, the government is not signing the contracts looking at what people will take away. The government is signing contracts saying that, okay, you want to come and produce in our country. It will create jobs for our people.
Yes.
It will create jobs for other people who might come
yes.
and be with us. So that kind of vision is actually saying that people come with you and come and join you and come and work and produce the wealth, and the wealth stays in your country. If they provide capital, they can be able to repatriate there. But it's not about people coming to exploit you and then leave. Okay. So this issue about
but are you sure we are still not being exploited? I mean, we allow ourselves to be exploited. That's what I mean.
Well, okay, let me give you an example. Some of the examples work, some of the examples do not work. Okay. My view is that if everybody in Ghana had a job, a productive job, okay, what will happen is that money will be produced in the country, and that money will stay.
There is a gentleman who has phoned twice already. I think he has something to say. Let's listen to him, then we'll come and run up with you. I know you've spoken a lot.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. 7352. Good evening.
Yes.
Who is this? Sorry.
Please, my name is called Kofi Akresi. I'm calling from the United States of America, in the state of Texas.
Okay. Have you been listening to our conversation?
Yes, some part, not all, some part, but yeah, I've been listening to some part.
Okay,
but,
okay. Go ahead.
Okay. My contribution, you see, sometimes so pitiful and so sorrowful indeed, that sometimes we like to distort our own political history. Even though everything is clear. For instance, the German, you see, people maintain that somebody wants independent for the near future, the other people want independent now.
Yeah.
Mr. Mansa, Musa, if you listen to Washington Commission report, a question was asked to them to respond. So that was a lot. We have a lot to do. Because remember, the Ashanti was not part of the colony.
Yes.
And earlier, but not for the trade, Dankwa and Atiaku Costa, they have talked to the Secretary of State for the colonies. His name was Stanley. Something Stanley, yeah, Stanley. And he said he was not sure whether Ashanti would be part of the so-called independence they are seeking for. So they have to go and talk to this Ashanti chief, some part of 1943. So during the Washington Commission, when these questions were coming, and final, push will come from the Parliament of England. So it wasn't just today or tomorrow. Well, Kwame Nkrumah declared a positive action in 1949. They were independent now. Did you get independent now? No. Dankwa told the people that it would take at least 10 years from 1948 to 1957. How many years? You see, people love the propaganda. Our greatest problem, and the mayor who plunged Ghana to what we're in today was Kwame Nkrumah. All the, what they call it, agencies you see in Great Britain, all was in Ghana.
Which agencies? Hang on. Which agencies are you talking about?
You say what?
Which
institutions? Let's say our TUC, our what they call it, our police, even police, everything. Kwame destroy.
I don't get. Hang on. I know you have your opinion, strong one, but I'm a bit perplexed. Of course, the setup was there. The Ghana police was there before Nkrumah came, or the Gold Coast police. Then the military army was there. Some shops, the TUC and the rest. But what about the factories, the industries, the Valco? Hang on. Let me finish. I'll let you speak. The Valcos of this world, the steelworks, the Tema Township, and the Akosombo, the Bonsa factory, the glass factory, meat factory. Are you saying they were all brought in by the British?
Okay, let me finish. You see, Ghana were fortunate. When we get independent, the United Nations give us some administrators, including Dr. Lewis, right? So all these projects, what they call it, Tema Township, it started before we got independent.
Yes.
The Tema, the land was called Torment Village. It was
don't forget, Nkrumah was the prime minister or was in government well before independence.
No, please. The Tema Township, all those things was got back up in 1949. 1949, we have no independence. Nkrumah has no Nkrumah just a leader of CPP in 1949. And the Mansa development started in 1949. Akosombo project was there, but the funds was not available until Bedema, this same Bedema, he came to United States here and was confronted with American racism, and he was invited to the White House. It did not happen. American government, American president will not invite a foreign minister.
Are you trying to say that the development, especially the industrial educational development of Ghana, had nothing to do with Nkrumah's vision?
Oh, Nkrumah too was part of it. After 1951, he supervised some of those things, even though the British were controlling the past then. The British were controlling the money. By 1951 to 1957, the people, Tema Township and all those things, it was there, but the British were controlling. Kwame Nkrumah was administrator, or head of administration. Look, nobody said Kwame Nkrumah didn't do well for Ghana. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. He did very, very well compared to this Mahama and Nanado. If you compare these people there,
we are not comparing. No. Don't disgrace the image, the name of the Osajifo. Look, we are not comparing him to these people. We are comparing him to the what we call it, Du Bois, I have a dream guy, the emancipation of black people. Those sort of people we are comparing. We are comparing him to Gandhi, to Tito, to Nasa. All those were not Mahama and Ado. But the point is, your beef about the fact that Nkrumah had a vision. He built Ghana, wanted to build it, to develop it.
No, but you see, one thing we must realize.
Yes.
When we attained independence, Ghana was the second richest country in the continent of Black Africa, or even Africa as a whole.
Yeah, who measured that? Who measured that? Second behind who? Second behind who? Hang on, second behind who? I'm asking you, second behind who?
No, according to World Bank then. I didn't say that. According to World Bank then.
Second behind who? Which country?
Second to South Africa.
You see, this is where the confusion starts. South Africa, listen. There is no country as rich or richer than the Congo Basin. That's what I will tell you. Okay. So all this Western propaganda line you are towing, you can accept it and swallow it you can swallow it like toffee. No. Listen, I won't let you pollute the air or the history. I will not allow you to pollute it. The point is, listen, if it has not been Nkrumah, it has been other people. They would have built mansions for their girlfriends, their chiefs and kings, their people, and they will be saving money in offshore banks. Nkrumah didn't do that. That time there was no. Let me finish. I will let you speak. 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 Oh, Akashi, believe me, I'll let you speak. Look, at that time Nkrumah was doing all those things. There were no checks and balances. He could have stolen plenty of money, but he didn't. He had a vision, man. Somebody who won all the seats in Ashanti, someone who won the seats in the house or in the hometown of Oforiatta Achim, won the seat in the Ghana. The people liked him.
No. You see, Nkrumah didn't stand Achimla or said it was parliamentary. So
of course, he won it.
It was a political party. So there's nothing to support the party.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So why is it that Oforiatta and the rest, their party didn't win?
It was Oforiatta who won at Achim.
Jesus Christ. He won one. He won one. He won one. Listen. Okay, let's count it. In Accra, how many did the Oforiatta's party win?
Oforiatta did not have party.
Oh, sorry. Sorry if I say Oforiatta, I'm wrong. I'm talking about the Achim, so it's JB. I mean the JB, that side.
No, you see, be the trouble. Say they are political party.
Yes. Okay. The UGCC as against CPP, led by Nkrumah. How many did the UGCC won in terms of seats in Ashanti, in Achim, and in Greater Accra?
I'm not arguing about it. I'm not arguing about those.
My friend. Kwame Nkrumah, I will tell you, you make me even speak local balance. Apart from Ghana and people like you, he is revered big time. Yeah, no amount of debt or filth, no amount of lies. Look, people lied that Nkrumah was using blood. That Nkrumah was using blood, human blood, to feed. They said Nkrumah was using human blood to feed his kankanyami. You make stories and you make people to believe.
Have I said that?
No. You are coming from that line. You haven't said it.
Wait, please. Kankanyami, the Ghanaians have no idea who Kankanyami is. It was Ayekumi. Who was the Kuma minister? Who brought them country? See, it's all people. Ayekumi, Daniel didn't know that.
Whatever it is, they lied about Nkrumah big time, and you people are still lying about him.
You see, who people? You see, what the
No, we will not allow you to go away with it anymore. I will be very strong on this. You people are lying about everything. Listen, let me tell you something. You see the Ghana embassy here in what we call in London, for instance. We have some embassies in London here. They can't even pay their rent because it's very high. The place the embassy is situated, the High Commission, Nkrumah bought it. Today we are free of expenses.
You see, like what I'm saying, you blame the negligence of government in Ghana today. You blame so when you blame, anybody wants to submit.
Listen, as for Nkrumah, listen, I'm telling you, you can call me an idiot. If you put Nkrumah's picture on the cross, I'll worship it because the guy was godly. He didn't say we should go and build churches. He built schools. He built industries. Man. University of Science and Technology.
I'm not talking about his industrializing policy. I'm not arguing about.
So what are you arguing about? Listen, you see the example you people are refusing to see is the other state in Africa where they couldn't have the vision and the brilliance of Nkrumah, so they run their country on tribal lines. Today you see what is happening in other places on tribal lines. So they are fighting everywhere. Nkrumah built Ghana for us. So please, wherever you are coming from, you can denigrate anybody, but don't tarnish. Do not tarnish the name of Nkrumah. Never again. Never. Goodness me.
Let me ask you one question before I go.
Ask me. Ask me.
Have you had the privilege to read Abraham's report, Professor Abraham's report?
Who is Abraham?
You see,
who is Professor? Tell me. Listen. You have that attitude. Look, the first time I went to a shopping mall here, Tesco. I don't know if you have Tesco in US, and the self-serving machine, it was playing up. Then one security man happened to be a black guy. The first time somebody asked me, "Oh, so you don't know?" I mean, why are we like this? You have mentioned a name. I'm asking you, who is it? Just explain. Then you are going to ask me as if it is a shame. It is a shame not to know.
I thought you were enlightened about Kwame Nkrumah Pontis. The one I'm asking you.
Yes. So who is he? Who is he? Who is he?
He was running Young Pioneer.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So now go on. Carry on. I'm listening.
Yeah. Okay. And two, where was he cabinet minister when Nkrumah was overthrown? They were happy. He saw cabinet ministers.
Listen to me. Listen. You see, these are the mistakes you are making.
No, I'm not making mistakes.
No, these are the mistakes you are making. Look, we have people who, in the day, were happy when Nkrumah was overthrown. We have people who were sad, but to save their own skin, they had to pretend as if they were rejoicing. We had them plenty. So please, if you think you can come and denigrate your Sajifo, I will tell you point blank.
No. I have not said that you're degrading about Kwame Nkrumah. No. I'm telling you the fact. What do you call it degrading?
Anyway, say your last word and go before people will come and chop you up.
Okay, so please, I will urge you to read what they call it, the NAPCO report. The NAPCO report. It's about Nkrumah's government.
I hear. Thank you very much. Thank you for your call from US. And keep listening. Thank you too. Thank you. Cheers.
Keep listening. I love your show. Thank you.
Medasi PE. Mr. Adesoya, you are there. Please hang on. There are phone calls coming in. Let's listen to one or two of them. Then I will get back to you to conclude. 9227. Hello. Please raise your voice. I can't hear you. Let's see. Let me see if it is from my side, because it looks like I've opened all the. Yes. Hello. Hello. Yes. Who is this? Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Now I can hear you. Go ahead. Hello.
Hello, Mansa.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is Joe from Lee.
Joe, now kasa now yentiwe no kasa.
Yeah, I think Obinso kasa which so I can hear the person, so I thought you were talking.
Okay, sorry about that. Then maybe it's my fault. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for
Kwesi is also waiting. When you are done, then I'll bring Kwesi before I go back to my guest for tonight. Yeah, Joe, I'm listening.
I just don't want to take much of your time, but you see, it's so unfortunate that at this point in time, certain people still talk ill of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. You see, this is a man, we are told, that in the whole wide world, something significant happened, and it happened with Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. That there has never been any head of state who are happen to have died another head of state for Asia ne coffin and the casket. It happened to only Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, not even Jesus Christ. Not even Jesus Christ. Kwame Nkrumah, his casket was carried by Fidel Castro, one other president from Guinea, and America Blair, or whatever the name is.
America Cabral from Guinea-Bissau, yeah.
Good. Yeah, they carried the casket of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. You see, Kwame Nkrumah did not only fight for independence for Ghana. Kwame Nkrumah fought for the emancipation of the black man, and for that matter, the African more importantly. When people wake up and they want to use all sort of things, all sort of words, even Abrofokwa tried to pitch Mandela against Kwame Nkrumah. They couldn't. In his grave, the man of the millennium, in his grave, he won the man of the millennium. In his grave. People should not just, for political whatever, should not just try to belittle Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Look, he is an asset. And as a Ghanaians, we should be proud to say Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is one of our own. Because he is bigger than everybody who rose up. He is bigger. He is more bigger. And we should be proud to say he has come from...
Thank you very much. You are my friend. You are my friend.
But to conclude, let me conclude here. Ghana for ye pay that thing. Say onyemi nia onyemi mame bo onyem papa ba me nim fie busia me nim fie ya den de oye bia say dey empathy asem. That thing is not going to help us, and intina ma ye wo bibia Kwame Nkrumah when Mahama brought in whatever for the energy to augment the energy supply of the Doomsor to solve the Doomsor issue, most of our excess capacity. Kwame Nkrumah at that time brought Akosombo Dam, knowing Ghanaians were just about 4 million or so. Look at today, a visionary that Akosombo has served Ghana for now, 6 years down the line. And you want to compare who to Kwame Nkrumah? You want to say what about Kwame Nkrumah? So Kwame Nkrumah built motorway when Britain did not have motorway. Go and check. Go and check. So please, people, we are not fools for people to sit in anywhere and be telling us whatever. We have to write our history, and we should be proud as Ghanaians. Said Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is one of our own. I am an Nzima, and I am very proud that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is an Nzima, and I will not sit down there for anyone. Not for the fact that I'm even an Nzima, but the fact that I'm a Ghanaian, and that is the greater picture I want to look at. I am proud that this man, the greatest African that ever lived, comes from my country.
Yo, listen, the point is, for someone whose books and paraphernalia, his works, the U.S. ambassador at the time had to go and supervise the burning and destruction. That one alone should tell you how powerful the man was. Medasi, thank you very much. Let me go to Kwesi, and then I will go to my guest. Let me try and connect Kwesi to the microphone if I can find one. Let's see. I think I find one microphone lead. Hello, Kwesi.
Yeah, Mansa Musa.
Good evening.
Good evening. Michelle Adeseya and Joe and everybody. Musa, thank you so much. In fact, I was enjoying your radio until that American guy came and got me up off my bed. You see, Mansa Musa, let me say something small so that I can leave you to engage your guests. You see, Mansa Musa, Ghana today, I don't blame the people like the gentleman who came to speak.
Accuracy from the US.
Yes, I don't. You see, I don't blame him. People like him and their people. You know what happened? Because Kwame Nkrumah came from nowhere. Kwame Nkrumah's father was a goldsmith. Because those Achim mafia group, they think they were lawyers. They should rule. That is where they became what they became. Ghana is now today. Musa, they call themselves men of substance. The UTCC guys, they are part of our problems, and they link themselves up to some chiefs within the Gold Coast those days. Some chiefs even raised 20,000 pounds those days to help opposition to terrorize Kwame Nkrumah. Musa, I don't blame them. Ghana today, Nana Akufo-Addo and MPP and those mafia group, the lawyers, who think they want good for Ghana, what are they saying about this current government? Look at where Ghana is. Ghana is on their knees today. Some journalists who has to speak to power, all those journalists are quiet. Now the nation Ghana is on its knees. Musa, it is so terrible. The people of Ghana are suffering. This NPP guys, NLM, 1956 those days. Musa, what did they do for the country apart from the overthrow they did? Today, Ghana is suffering. NPP has been in power, Musa, close to 8 years. All the colossal amount of money they have collected from the state, they should tell Ghanaians what they have used the money for. Zerch, you come and sit there and talk about Kwame Nkrumah in that fashion. JB Dankwa, who is JB Dankwa? What did JB Dankwa did for the state, Mansa Musa? Apart from being their lawyer cabas with their some chiefs, even today as you speak, they are still doing it. When John Dramani Mahama was in Ghana trying to build the nation, the same group of people turned around and they spoke against John Dramani Mahama terribly. Look at what is Nana Akufo-Addo doing. What has that gentleman done to the states? Apart from bringing Ghana to its knees, Ghana as we speak, we are begging, we are beggars. You come and tell us you are going to ask China for debt cancellation. How? Very soon, hear what is going on. There's allegation that very soon they will come and seize some assets. And people sit there, journalists sit in Ghana, they are all quiet. They are not speaking to the issue. Ghana journalists, they say, Misimu, who? Ghanaian journalists, they are part of our problems. Instead of them to speak through to power, Musa, they are all quiet. How shameful. People turn around and they come and blame innocent people like Kwame Nkrumah and JDM, and they sit there, they sit Ghana today and they are all quiet. Musa, what is going on in Ghana, Musa? We haven't seen anything yet. If this MPP and Nana Akufo-Addo don't leave power, where these guys are dragging Ghana to, it is so bizarre. Some chiefs in Ghana are part of our problems. We need to speak to them. They should tell their subjects that, look, they have failed the nation. The citizens are suffering. Ghana is suffering. And you come and sit on radio call from America, you are coming to talk about Kwame Nkrumah. Musa, do you know why Nana Akufo-Addo don't want Sekleme to come on? You see, people don't know what these guys are doing. Kwame Nkrumah built Tema Harbor. No, he built the entire Tema enclave from nowhere. You see, John Dramani Mahama was building Sekleme. So they know very well, very soon, Sekleme may become another township. So they say, no, they are not going to allow it to happen. You see, now Sekleme is now a push. Musa, you know what? Don't let me take much of your time. Now, this MPP cahoots, we need to mobilize ourselves and rescue the nation. What they have done to the state called Ghana, it is so bizarre. It is time we tell them that enough is enough. We need to be bold and tell them, Musa, human beings, we born one day, we die one day. Some of us, we are also Ghanaians. Because Kwame Nkrumah came from nowhere, they think they are lawyers, so they should rule. Not Kwame Nkrumah, not a son of a blacksmith's father who should come and rule them. That is all the problem. Those are chiefs and mafias who connive and overthrow Kwame Nkrumah. They are part of the problem. The NL of 1956. Ask them, what did they do to Ghana? Ghana today, NPP, what have they done? 400 billion cedis collected from the state. They are still going to beg for money. Musa, you know what? Don't let me spoil your program. Let me lie down and listen to Mr. Adesoya. May Kwame Nkrumah rest in peace. These people, you don't blame them. You blame the journalists, Ghanaian journalists, or their stomach. This is what they are doing to the state. They should speak truth to the power. Politicians are destroying the nation. You sit there, you sit on the radio station, then you are laughing. Asempa FM, that journalist there, when they go and sit there, instead of them to ask questions, they are all laughing. Where is Baumia? Musa, you know what? Let me end here. We pray and hope that one day Ghana will change, and citizens will feel happy. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. God bless you. God bless your listeners, Mansa Musa. Thank you.
Kingdom da Ireland chapter ina roƙon ku har wa yau ku vote ku ba chairman Akwa shi kada ne wanda in Allah ya yarda ya win ya zama chairman zai kawo welfare program da zai taimaka muku ya taimaka ma party mu daga cikin wannan welfare program dukkan member da ke neman taimako lokacin da ya shiga cikin masuwa abin da ya kama daga 50 pounds zuwa 400 pounds welfare program na ya tabbatar a baka a taimaka maka in Allah ya maka dalili ka biya wannan kudi bayan haka kuma dukkan memba da ke neman wani taimako sha'anin batun takardun shi ko wurin zama ya ajiye manya da lauyoyi da kowane lokaci kake neman advice ko kake neman wani lawyer da zai taimaka maka akan batun sha'anin zaman ka a kasar United Kingdom shi kuma su bi bayan ka su taimaka maka su saya maka ka biya wani abu kadan da yake in ka je waje zaka doki lawyer ba da ka same shi haka nan ba muna roƙonka member NDC da ke United Kingdom ko Ireland in lokacin vote ya kai ka vote ka ba Chairman Akwa shi kare ne wanda yake zai taimaka ma fatin mu a lokacin da muke ciki wannan shine sanarwa ko wannan shine abin da muke roko ku taimaka mishi Allah kuma ya taimaka mu duka gaba daya Allah ba mu nasara mun gode muku da ku saurare mu assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Right. So thank everybody. I think our senior fellow, the CPP chairperson, chairwoman, sent me this. I don't know why I didn't see it. He said what time I wanted her. Meanwhile, I called her and she didn't take it. At what time I'm on my way to a live jamboree with students on Legon campus, Elizabeth C. Hall at 8:15 p.m. Okay. Let me go and see if I can get Mr. Ade Sawyer back to come and conclude the discussion properly. The last thing we want is French leave, if you know what I mean. We have to end everything nice and proper so that everybody, let's see if we can get him back.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Well, I was on for a while, and then
I know. What I don't want us to do is a French leave or whatever they call it. So let's round up nicely. Your CPP chairperson, I think I called her organizer or her body and told him my peace of mind why she was trying to avoid me. Now she sent me a letter or some response that she is going to a program at Legon and all this. These people forget, Mr. Ade, they forget that we here in the UK, we have a lot to give. You see, they don't seem to understand, but that will be another debate for another thing. I will not try to involve you in my personal argument with them. So, sir, let's run up, my senior brother. Let's run up about Nkrumah. And sorry if I shouted that man off because I think as for Nkrumah, when somebody come by that,
I don't know who the guy was, and I could hardly hear what he was saying. But that's okay.
Anyway, so let's finish properly, sir.
We finished now. We're no longer on there, so let's probably talk tomorrow or the day after. If you send me a transcript of the program, that'd be good.
You mean transcript of this or recording?
No, of the recording.
It's easier, really.
If you give me a link, I can go and pick it up.
Yeah. I will give you it's on both on Facebook and it's on YouTube. So it's not missing at all. It's not. You can't get lost. As we are speaking, it's even still recording anyway. All right then, sir. So in the end, my question was that what are we celebrating in all this? Exactly what are we celebrating?
Well, I mean, my view, as I told you, is that, I mean, we've tried everything within Ghana. And unfortunately, the people who have come as leaders have not been able to actualize the vision that Kwame Nkrumah had. Now, maybe, and this is what people have said, maybe Kwame Nkrumah would also have had the same problem. Because running an African economy is not easy. It was because of the difficulty of providing jobs that the Russians decided that they were going to use a socialist form to actually get their people jobs. We need to have jobs. And I think that unless we concentrate on getting jobs, I think we'll probably not be able to achieve this dream of development. Okay. Now, when I talk about the need to have jobs, what I'm actually essentially saying is that government spends a lot of money on foreign goods. People in Ghana spend a lot of money on foreign goods. Okay. And what they forget is that most people in the West tend to spend their money on goods produced in their countries of origin. So we need to have an alignment. We need to know that most people in this country don't drive four-wheel drive cars. Most civil servants don't do that.
No.
Most government officials don't do that.
It's true.
So if they think that they are doing because it's a status symbol, or they are doing because we don't have adequate public transport, then what they need to do is to build the adequate public transport. If 200 or so years ago, the British were able to build a tube system that still works, and we can build a bus system that works, then we are in trouble.
We are in trouble.
So essentially all I'm saying is that I think that leaders in Africa, and I'm not just really talking about one particular country or one particular political party. I'm saying that there needs to be a focus on the people. What the people want are jobs. What the people want are really to be able to have good education. And I think that everything else after that will be luxury. Okay. So we've got to refocus. If we can refocus, things are not going to happen for us. And thinking that we are comparing ourselves to people who've also gone through that tussle. I don't think that people in the West have had it easy.
No.
They've had to work hard in order for them to get the status.
Well, for them being sensible enough to come and, take everything from us, they work very hard.
You see, if we even look at it, I mean, in this country, the average person in this country works very hard.
Oh, yes.
When you go to work, it's no play.
At all.
When you go to work, the person you're working with is actually driving you. You have targets. You need to reach those targets. There's everything that's going on. And I'm saying that I think that it's something that we need to actually start examining. And I'm not saying that we are lazy. That's not the point. The point that I'm making is that we need to be able to concentrate on things that we want to do. And
it is the motivation. Is this, after all, it's the same group of us who come and work very, 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 very hard. That motivation is not it's not at home to do that donkey work.
And perhaps when we go back to Ghana, maybe we don't work that hard.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
the motivation isn't there. So, well, anyway, Mr. Adesoya, as always, I think every year I tax you to come and, refresh our minds. And today, as for the two names you have given me, that people say big six. Actually, it was a made-up figure because the people who were arrested were 8. Just that, like you say, the helicopter that those days were lifting them from Accra to Tamale. The capacity was about maybe 10 people, and we had 2 pilots and maybe 2 bodyguards or something, then 6 people. So couldn't take more than the 6 people, and so they became like. But what became of the other 2? Were they just left to go home?
Oh, I'm saying I know that R.S. Blay became what I said of that R.S. Blay was the speaker of the assembly during those years.
Yes, no, I mean, as for they moved on. But what I'm saying, that very day, when they couldn't take them to prison, were they left alone to go home or something?
Oh, they left there because I think that in terms of taking them to prison, they took them straight to the north, which was, how would I say? They took them first to Kumasi and then the north, which was secluded from Accra, where there was a lot of agitation.
Yes.
So it's like taking them to a
different country altogether. Oh, I see.
So that nobody can go and break jail or something. It's a different dispensation. So I think that's really what happened. It's kind of interesting, and these are really what we all know is that maybe in the course of development of nations, there are some things that happen by accident. There are some things that happen truthfully. Okay, so I think that is probably one of our histories. It's really a footnote in our history when people talk about the Big Six, because they were the people who were arrested. And in the same way, because maybe Nkrumah was the person who stood at the election in Accra Central and was the leader. That is why Nkrumah then became probably a more prominent of this. And now, maybe he shall just talk to you about the breakup that the gentleman was talking about. Okay, that Nkrumah did not resign. Nkrumah did resign. And the only reason why Nkrumah resigned was that he was demoted from the position of secretary to the position of treasurer. And because of that, his people said that he should leave the movement. And he left. He wanted to stay in order to be able to fight. But I think that the younger people who were more firebrands said that no, let's leave. And he left. So as for that,
obviously we are not going to split hairs over this.
I'm prepared to listen to what anybody says. I mean, one thing that you should realize is that when I'm having a discussion with anybody, I listen to that person because I'm not the only font of knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as for that,
But what I was saying, I'm trying to say that both of you have a barrel full of knowledge about these things, and I personally don't want us to split hairs on this. In the end, he resigned. So wherever and when he did, let's leave it like that. Mr. Adesoya, listen, may God bless you, give you longer life, so that next year again you will come and refresh our mind. Thank you very much for your knowledge.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Right, so we end nicely and properly with my guest. Kwesi is here again. Let me go and see Kwesi. Hello, Kwesi.
Yeah, Musa.
Yes.
I want to appeal to Mr. Adesoya through you that with the knowledge and the skill set he's got in Ghana, some of us would like to appeal to him.
Yeah.
He should find time and come on air to be educating us about independent Ghana. Some of us want to know more.
Okay.
So we want to appeal to him that some of us, when you are lying down and want to listen some people like him, so that he educates us more about Ghana independence, where Ghana came from, and where we are now. So we want to appeal to him.
No, these guys are tough. I mean, Adesoya has his line, Duncan Williams has his line, and Openyukweku. They all have, because they were young, alive, and saw things, is most of the things that were not written. In fact, last year when I interviewed Adesoya and we talked about this Big Six, that was last year, right? And the thing is, I was worried that the Big Six, they were not 6, they were 8. So he promised that he will find the other names. And today he has provided me with those names. So I am really, really happy. Anyway, Kwesi, what you have said is the truth. And we work on it. Only that we need more sponsors for this program. I mean, so far we have only one sponsor. And I'm appealing to everyone who loves the show to, ask your business people, Ghanaian or African business people, to bring their trade here for us to help them to help us. It's that important. Yeah. It's very difficult these days. And so I will ask you kindly, because these senior citizens, if you have to engage them, at least a bottle of whiskey here and there wouldn't go amiss. They all need sponsorship. They need to be looked after. So kindly, it's not about you individual, but I'm talking about people who are doing business and the contacts you have, so that they'll come and support us.
No, Musa, I agree. I'd like if your station said, okay, we are launching a bit of a sponsorship program for individuals too, apart from the companies who would like to come and sponsor the station, fine. But if you launch a program and say, look, you want individuals to support the program, Masa, it will be answered. I mean, small,
I don't want to worry everybody. Last time, about 2-3 years or so, we did that. It was a hustle, as if we are begging people. Yibima something, people talk plenty and later to become like.
They would not.
So
agree with you.
Let's base purely on the commercial, people who have something to gain. Say they are sellers or business people, and we can make noise for them. We started gradual with this Top Connect. Now they are flying everywhere. So
okay, Musa, thank you so much. Long and short is that, like I said, people like Adesoya, we want to beg you, come and educate. You see, when the truth is not told, we allow people to come and fill in with lies. So it is time we tell Ghanaians the truth about the state called Ghana, where we came from and where we are. Those who are part of our difficulties. You see, we need to educate, because we have a lot of young people who have joined into politics. They don't even understand the history of the nation called Ghana. So sometimes when they come on the air,
I know Akresi is listening, but you see, if those young people we are talking about, if they listen to people like Akresi, then they are going to be in trouble. You see what I mean? But so far as we are alive to challenge it, we always do well to challenge. Anyway, Kwesi, today I didn't do the partisan politics, but you are here to support. So I'll play your other adverts just as an appreciation of your coming in to support my program.
Wana mutanen NDC da ke United Kingdom da Ireland chapter ina roƙon ku har wa yau ku vote ku ba chairman Akwa. Shi kada ne wanda in Allah ya yarda ya win ya zama chairman zai kawo welfare program da zai taimaka muku ya taimaka ma party mu. Daga cikin wannan welfare program dukkan yanzu oyasa munya NDC nya ewo United Kingdom na Ireland chapter da ma bri so mi chiao na menyu ba bezian abato hon komo. Dema ware nyim na oka kakra na yakoto aba yeze yanin penyimfo a wobohwe party do wo da me chapter ya meji hu nkomo na menyu ba bezi chairman Akwa no hu nkomo da mabri chairman Akwa campaignfo a we gina de to wando abana wombe chairman na mu chairman Akwa de ogina ho prekope nti mesraw de ebo to waba na eza ma chairman Akwa na wabe chairman bo United Kingdom and Ireland chapter usane de okitan shisha bebre a yame na dom na so be chairman a opede ozuboa awo a member wo United Kingdom na Ireland na NDC party ni na da na dom shisha no mu binyi the establishment of a welfare program Dem welfare program yi no mo mfaso benyi abrubiara NDC nyi ehwehwem bo wo sekasama fem bibi kakra bi a ezebototo nzama wa abra ahokyera aba no dem welfare program yi bohwe na wonsa ka bibi kakra ofi £50 zuko £400 na enyesika etum ebotua eyi ye chairman akwana adwe na opede odzeboa NDC ibiso nyi de NDC member biara obenya any immigration issue ana mbrem nsemi biara wo bibia otena wo United Kingdom ana Ireland chairman akwa establish mpenyumfo a wobetena ho na wahwe na advice biara oyembra konodo na wadi amaw impo se pelo yenyi bi na wejina na waka wasem bi amaw United Kingdom ha ana Ireland da mpenyumfi wo mu binum ye lawyers a wobotun wejine ma amaw na waji bibi kakra bi wa bra wobotun wa abo na wo bibiara so akodo welfare program kuriyara suya chairman akwa opede ozubobo adi onu so behwe na yenuanuma wo United Kingdom na Ireland nyinara awona woye into event organization photographers awona wo shishe bibia amanfo ye one parties one weddings ninyina obaka won nyinara bom dem obeya NDC member biara obenya any event de oye wedding outdooring bibiara no wetu wa bobo no wa ya ama no wa bra onkotue sika ti dem a okakafo obi wo paado ana enchen bi na wa ba da ma dina man chairman akona nimpemfo so bohwe na abribiara any welfare ana any social issue biara oba affecting member biara no obaba obo wechi na bibiara de what mo ana bibiara de woye na what bo program wa kodo no wetu wa yendam na ahomka wa ba welfare program yi bibia se nyamobo na se chairman akwa obeye chairman wo United Kingdom na Ireland no munsam kakra na me putu hu za achewi odobobaji na woda aboa awo member na woda aboa yen NDC MPyi na epebe nazi munua NDC nya ewo United Kingdom na Ireland to waba former chairman akwa nyamobo na senensa kazebiu na ono so obegina na wahwede mama ka nyinara odebe yi dwuma na party na akwa nanyim.
Fire will burn you. That is the title of the program for tonight and all night. You're listening to Mansa Musa. I'm sitting here on the Captain's Bridge, and tonight, all what we're talking about is the Osagyefo's legacy. Kwame Nkrumah's legacy of attaining independence or helping Ghana to attain independence all those years ago, 66 years ago. And today, we have people in Ghana. Some as though they have something to celebrate. I for one don't know or don't understand. Oh, meanwhile, yeah, Kwesi, thank you very much for your participation. I like people who are proactive on my show. Anyway, so I for one don't see anything of value, anything that should make us happy of today's date or of the time or the Independence Day celebration, because really and truly we've messed everything up. You see, the true measure of Nkrumah Osagyefo lies in the fact that since after his overthrow, if Nkrumah was that bad and what he was doing was wrong, I tell you, Ghana would have been proper. Like Ghana should have been good, better. You see? But since he overthrew Nkrumah, and not quite long ago, that 28th February, we all spoke about, 24th February, we all spoke about the day Ghana stopped working, Ghana's day of shame. You see? So for those of you who are doubtful and really you still have some doubts about Nkrumah's, what do we call it, special, specialness, if there's any word like that. If Nkrumah was that bad, was poor, was rubbish, if Nkrumah was a mistake, if Nkrumah didn't do well, then after his overthrow, we should have prospered. By now, I think, Bibi Kosumai, come, I'm going to say, Kwame Nkrumah, no, or senior manti, ye ni free wafi ye. But after his overthrow, gradually, some of us were kids anyway. We didn't understand what was going on. But many people, the adult group, many people kept quiet. You see, Akresi, this my friend in US came to say, even some people within his ranks were jubilating. Of course, some were actually, traitors within. Some betrayed him. Some didn't like him. Others too just had to pretend for their own lives, for their sake. So they pretended. But mostly, Nkrumah later realized that he had enemies within. It's a fact. It's a fact that people were conspiring behind him, behind his back. The story I heard in China, someone who Nkrumah promoted seriously, the ambassador to China, dropped Nkrumah's photograph to the floor because he had been overthrown and, just to make peace with the military junta. But, so if you follow that history to come and tell people that, Nkrumah was bad because his people were jubilating, you are making big mistake. You are distorting facts. It's not good. For Osajifo, you see, if you are very, very clever Ghanaian, do your politics, do your partisan, but take Osajifo out of it, believe me, because in the end, everywhere you pass, everywhere, long before Mandela came, Osajifo's effigy or his image, statue or whatever, is cast, plaster cast. It's at Madame Tussauds here in London. It's been there long ago, long ago. Even after his overthrow, still there is, he still had the title of the first president, to achieve independence out of Sahara. You see what I mean? So we need more abusa. Now I bet you, but man fight Nkrumah ask and then they need entry for because you can do, like I said, you can do all the politics you want. The partisan politics we all love, whether you talk against Mahama or don't talk against Mahama, I don't really, it's your politics. But in Nkrumah, if you're easy, just make sure that take him out of it. Because everything that a human being should do for his country is what he was doing. And because of him, that we don't have too much of civil war or serious tribal ethnic conflicts. It's because of him. Because he governed sensibly. He knew that we Africans had that tendency. Mifriha, we on this year, we are Ahimfie, we are Adonkofo, we all those things. He knew. So he governed and made sure he brought everybody together. And talking about young pioneer, you see, people spoke evil of young pioneer, or they tried to make it look as though Nkrumah was using it to commandeer and marshal children to, bring their parents to authorities to be killed or something. Look, Osajifu had the idea. He knew that, look, you have to build a nation. When he got Ghana together, the British had, ruled a colony of tribal heads and, tribal ethnic groups. Now he has to build it to make it a nation. So when you have something to focus everybody, young pioneers, they learn. You learn. I wasn't, old enough to join. But my senior cousins who joined, the things they were being taught, you see, you learn to be a Ghanaian, you learn to love your country, to serve it. you learn not to sabotage, to betray your country. That sort of thing. Nkrumah was building a country, a nation. You see? So, for instance, if they had left him to continue another 5-10 years, maybe in the end, it is natural that we will become fed up with him. It's natural. But by then, he would have built the nation in terms of the human resource, our psyche, our mentality, to believe that we are Ghanaians, we are a nation that can compete. That's why, he brought about this sports. He loved the sportsmen and sportswomen. He loved, he sent people to educate them, brought them back. He was building industries. That sort of thing, right? And Nkrumah was building a nation. That sort of the intelligence that other leaders at that time didn't have. That is why today in those countries, every little thing they start to fight. You see, because Nkrumah, he brought almost everybody. He didn't worry whether you are Buzanga, Dagati, Frafra, Dagomba, Gunja, Achim, Fanti, Ashanti, Nzima. He didn't worry or mind whether you are from any part of Ghana or even from Africa. If you are good enough for that job, you get it. You see? So it's not like other countries where their leaders were they themselves tribal bigots. You see, so they built or ran their country based on maybe that ethnic group. You see? In Nkrumah, we had him and we lost him. It's our fault that we lost him. But nobody, don't dare ever come and denigrate the image, the name, the good name, the solemn good name, the godly name of Osagyefo. If you do that, you find all sort of problems with Mansa Musa. You do that, you find me an enemy. And believe me as a friend is marvelous. As an enemy, you are in big trouble. Don't even try. I'm an African, so don't dare you. You see what I mean? So there we go. Let's finish off with the voice of Osagyefo.
That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs. And my last warning to you is that you ought to stand firm behind us so that we can prove to the world that when the African is given a chance, he can show to the world that he's somebody. We are waiting. We shall no more go back to sleep anymore. We are going to demonstrate to the world, to the other nations, young as we are, that we are prepared to lay our own foundation. As I said in the assembly just minutes ago, I made it point that we are going to see that we create our own African personality and identity. It's the only way in which we can show the world that we are ready for our own battle. But today, may I call upon you all that at this great day, let us all remember that nothing in the world can be done unless it has the purported support of God. We have done the battle, and we again rededicate ourselves not only in the struggle to emancipate other territories in Africa. Our independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent. And here, I will ask the band to play the Ghana national anthem.
Mano me boa, mo pa me guitar, mo kama sa me show there. Se pete